Hi everybody. Hey, Lorina Quigley here. Just wanted to give you a few little tips about doing psychic development, mediumship, remote viewing, any of these things to help you identify bringing in messages, picking up on them and understanding what your subconscious is trying to tell you. Now, in remote viewing, one of the first things I learned, but this can be applied to psychic development and mediumship, is describe, don't identify. And you will hear this over and over and over again. I gotta sit up. You will hear this over and over and over again. Describe, don't identify. Describe, don't identify. So what does that mean? So sometimes you may see an image of what looks like, let me see if I can think of a good one. Something like a bird. You're seeing a bird flying in the sky. And you take that as a message, a literal message, as a bird flying in the sky. But actually, it is a symbolic message about something you need to know about. Maybe rising above things and seeing more clearly, seeing from a different angle. Or you might think, oh, it's an eagle. I'm hearing the eagle has landed. The eagle has landed. Oh, this is about astronauts in NASA. So what can happen is we can jump to conclusions when we start identifying what something is. So what is needed is to learn your subconscious language, learning what your subconscious is trying to tell you so that you can understand it. And how do you do that? You just have to do the work. You have to practice doing message work, practice doing psychic work, mediumship work, giving messages, do remote viewing. All of these things will help you understand your subconscious language, having it come through and helping you to understand it. That takes work. It just takes work and time. That's all there is to it. Because sometimes it's just not literal. Sometimes it's symbolic, and it does mean something, like the bird. It could be a symbolic message of look from a higher perspective, change your perspective. You're down here, you need to be up here and see from down there and see what's really going on. Or how could that be real? I don't know, I have to think about that. Okay, but so what you can do, one of the things that you can do is get a journal and start writing down some of the things that you've learned. Some of the things that you have learned when your subconscious is speaking to you and what it is saying. Now, you may see a flower, and that could represent joy, and you start seeing that repetitively in your readings, and so you know what that means. It could also mean a blossoming and opening up. You may see an airplane, and it might mean that you're going to travel overseas, or you're going to be traveling. Or it could mean that you're going to move really quickly, fast forward. This is learning your subconscious language. You may see a license plate. It could mean that you're going to get a new car. I mean, again, what does that mean to you? You might see oceans, like waves on an ocean. It could mean that that person is having a fluid buildup in their body, but it could mean something else. So this is learn your language. So it's creating your own dictionary. And then also your guides can go through your dictionary and help you give messages. So also diabetes could actually be like a sugar bowl. Like maybe this person has problems with sugar and their blood sugar levels, and you see a sugar bowl. all of these things, you have to figure out what it is for you. A classic one is red roses. Oh, I'm seeing red roses. Oh, what could that mean? Oh, probably a relationship's coming to you, or that there's someone from the other side who was a partner and they're sending roses because they want you to know that they're there giving you roses as an expression of love. I don't know, a couple of weeks ago I was doing a reading for somebody, and I kept getting that 80s song, I think, 80s, Two of Hearts, which probably not too many people have heard that song, but, and I kept getting Two of Hearts, and I kept seeing this card, the Two of Hearts in a playing deck. And every time I looked at her, I would get this and I would hear that song. It's like, oh, you know what? For me, that says a relationship is coming. Now, this was just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, so that has not happened yet. And that has not happened before. That symbolic language has not happened yet. But hopefully that person who would love to have a relationship, that person is coming. I really hope so. Anyway, and you just don't know how images are going to come to you and what they're going to look like. I got an image, this is years ago, where a friend of mine, her husband had died, and he kept showing up, and this was at a seance, in a white robe. Now, a hooded white robe, that's weird. And this robe, like, it had a hood, and he had the hood on, and it was like this kind of satiny robe that was tied up. And he had a definite message. I'm not going to give you the whole message right here on this, but I could not for the life of me figure out what that message meant. I'm like, I don't know what the white robe means. I know other parts of this message very, very clearly, but I didn't know what that next thing was, what the meaning of that white robe was. Well, the next day, my friend was sitting with a friend writing some music, and she was working with this person writing music, and he kept saying, I keep getting this image of a guy in a white robe. There's a guy in a white robe, and he has a hood on. Well, he's a boxer. He is a boxer. And he keeps saying, I'm down for the count. I'm down for the count, meaning he was just done. So anyway, she calls me and tells me all this stuff. And we both cried because the meaning of that white robe it had to do with being a boxer. And he just didn't want to be here any longer. He was down. He was down for the count. As in this boxing lingo, that never would have occurred to me that was a boxer, that was a boxing robe. I'm not into that culture. But that was what he was showing, and that's what I was seeing. And then the very next day, he gave this message to a guy that she was sitting across the table from. This is phenomenal. That is spirit setting that up. And also her husband giving that message. Now that is symbolic language. And maybe somebody would have thought, oh, well, somebody's in a robe. That means that he's angelic, or let's see, or maybe he's, I don't know, he's in a hospital robe or something. I don't know. I'm trying to think of things around this, that what it could be, but what it was. So now I know that could be that. Now, it might not be. And sometimes these things shift and change too. But these are beautiful examples of how our subconscious is trying to speak to us and give us messages. And it's not just the subconscious, it's also beings from the other side, our guides, our teachers, also our loved ones who are from the other side trying to communicate with us, trying to give us really significant messages. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. So what you can do, if you're interested in doing this kind of work, just remember, describe, don't identify. Describe, don't identify. Create a journal where you start understanding the meanings of some of these things and what they mean to you, so that you can have a clearer doorway to the subconscious and start understanding what it is saying to you. It can be a very powerful thing to do. Anyway, do I have anything else to say around this? Anyway, please try this. And the biggest thing, practice, practice, practice. Yeah. Describe, don't identify. Oh yeah, sorry, one more thing. It just popped into my head. So sometimes when we're giving messages, these messages can come through at the last minute, like just fly into your head. Make sure that you share everything. And sometimes you do not understand what the message is. You just don't understand. You're like, okay. And you don't want to say it because you don't understand it. You're going, okay, I'm going to look stupid saying this because it makes absolutely no sense to me. Say it anyway. Say it anyway, because you know what can happen? That person might know exactly what that means. It means something to them and not you. That's a really important component to this too. It can mean something to them, not you. Happens all the time. So, yeah. I remember once trying to give a reading for somebody, and we were supposed to be, this was in a class a long time ago, we were supposed to be trying to figure out a parent's occupation. And I kept seeing this, like something is moving up and down, and it's like this long thing that's on a board, that's connected to a board, and it keeps moving up and down, and it looks red. There's red stuff on there. And I'm describing this thing to this woman, and it has just perplexed me, completely perplexed me, and I cannot figure out what it is. So then I start guessing. Well, if you start guessing, you're going to sound like you don't know what you're talking about, because every guess I made, she's like, no. And then she was like, you already got it. You already got it. She understood exactly what I was trying to. She understood the message. She knew, but I didn't know, and it was driving me nuts. So she finally told me, she's like, stop. My father was a butcher, and he worked with things that were covered with red meat and blood and stuff like that. And anyway, so I was like, oh, that was a good message, a lesson for me, to not try to figure out. Sometimes we try so hard to figure it out. Sometimes we just don't know. We have to just give the message and see what happens. Take a risk, see what happens. Nobody wants to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong. Nobody wants to be wrong. But sometimes you just have to take a chance and give that message and see what happens. And you may surprise yourself. That surprised me. And like I said, it was a really good lesson around just give the message. Give what you see. It'll make sense to them. So sometimes, so I was seeing this movement and action and this thing. And oh man, those guesses that I came up with were kind of crazy, trying to figure it out. Anyway, it's the world, dealing in that world, the mystical world, the stuff that comes in through our subconscious, through that plane of awareness that we are not always connected to. I mean, a part of us is connected to that, but consciously not so much. So you got to trust, take a chance. You could be wrong, but you could be really right and surprise yourself and learn some things too, like I did that day. Anyway, I hope this helps. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.